passage today comes from John's 13th chapter. And we're sort of jumping back in time now after the Easter resurrection and all that. We're sort of catapulting back into the upper room prior to all the passion stuff and to the crucifixion, when Jesus is meeting with his friends gathered there for the last earthly time. And so this account goes this way. When Judas had gone out of the room, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." So ends the reading of God's word. Invite us to pray. Source of all wisdom, we turn to you as we listen to these brief verses from John's Gospel. A very short, succinct commandment at the end of it, to love. Help us in the time to follow and in the days to come to continue to ponder and embody that commandment to the best of our ability. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Why is it that the shortest assignments are often the toughest? For example, which assignment from Jesus would you rather undertake? Assignment number 1. Worship once a week. Pray before every meal. Brush after every meal. Give 10% of what you earn to the poor. Never drink liquor on Sunday. Don't swear in front of the children. Never step on a crack on the sidewalk. Celebrate Holy Communion once a month. Don't listen to Christmas carols before Thanksgiving. Promptly pay your parking tickets. Don't jaywalk, and have church quarterly meetings every quarter. It's a pretty long list. Perhaps at first blush it's a bit overwhelming, but at least it's finite. And if you take them one by one, they're fairly doable. Or you could have assignment number 2, which reads as follows. You need to listen very carefully because it scoots by quick. Love one another. Did you get that? If you blink, you'll miss it. It's like driving through Chapin. Love one another. That's it. Just that simple. But oh, not at all easy. Takes me back to school days. Those lovely essay tests. Again, 2 options for this one. Option number 1. Discuss in detail the events leading up to World War II, citing various political and economic factors that contributed to the outbreak of war in Europe. Note important dates and leading personalities in your discussion. Be succinct. You turn the page, convinced that anything's better than question number 1, so you look at number 2 on the other side. Describe reality. Jesus left us with one whale of an assignment when he instructed us to love one another. Kind of like describe reality. And I personally think my little editorial comment on the side is that we have only earned a C- so far. Although we've had bursts of brilliance in our loving from time to time, times when people have bent over backwards on behalf of others, when courageous folks have stepped forward for the sake of justice and fairness, peace, when compassion has in fact extraordinary moment when the best of humanity is blazed brightly. But that simple little assignment from Jesus remains an awful tough one. There's so much more to do. Jesus was the master of economy when it came to commandments, including this one we just heard. And in this case, he really had to be. He didn't have a whole lot of time. The moment that Judas left the room, Jesus no doubt knew that he'd soon be leaving the earth. Judas was not heading out to get pizza. He was initiating a very sad drama that would not go well for the rabbi. So better for Jesus to make it quick and get to the point, whatever he needed to say. But his message was more than just a little private note pinned up on the fridge for the benefit of a tight circle of disciples, excuse me. It wasn't like he was just saying, go buy milk. No, this was a commandment, an assignment that was to be the hallmark, the tag by which others would know who were the followers of Jesus. It was to be the defining characteristic of all who followed him. We were to be known for our love. I guess we could be known for a lot of things. I know some friends that are known for their gardens. I know people who are known for their jokes, their casseroles, their quilting, their storytelling, their hairstyle, their stamp collection, and their Christmas lights. Our uniqueness gets expressed in a lot of different ways. Sometimes we can find ourselves easily associated with one particular habit or characteristic. And sometimes those traits are quite extraordinary, at least in the eyes of some, so renowned that we try to immortalize certain folks with statues, portraits, or buildings. I don't always understand why we do that, to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure why the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, and the Vanderbilts have their names splashed across the American architectural landscape. I don't know any Rockefellers or Vanderbilts. My hunch is that some were memorialized because they gave a lot of money, or they had a lot of power, or they knew the right people. Maybe they were quite loving, but I don't think we generally build monuments to plain old love. So maybe the monuments we build to love are right in here. Love's a funny thing, to me anyway. On the one hand, love seems incredibly delicate and fleeting, like a hummingbird, or a rainbow, or a smile. Something of the moment. Brings to mind those monks that create the elaborate sandcastles on the beach, requiring hours of intricate sculpting only to see them washed away on the next high tide. Maybe I'm one of those monks. When I look at those big fat 3-ring binders holding all my sermons on the bookshelf, I feel a bit like them. Creative efforts that kind of vanish into thin air within a couple of minutes every Sunday morning. Maybe some of you think they don't vanish quickly enough. But for me, their fleeting nature is a little bit unsettling, slow to create, and yet gone so fast. And so sometimes to comfort myself, I leave my room with all the 3-ring binders, and I go outside and look at the evergreens that I planted in the yard, because at least they're going to stick around for 30 or 40 years. But it does seem like love is often something fairly fleeting, of the moment, a choice in any given instant, a choice to be kind to someone who you think maybe really doesn't deserve it, the choice to be patient, the choice to forgive someone who's not perfect, the choice to be hopeful when dark clouds are rather down. Love does seem to be kind of a moment-by-moment thing. But the funny paradox of love, I guess, is that even though it seems fleeting and impermanent, it's also tremendously powerful and even everlasting. How many obituaries conclude with the words, words, he or she loved to spend time with family. I love those words. They're my favorite kinds of words for obituaries anymore. Because it's not about the jobs or the diplomas or the memberships or the travels. Words like that, he or she loved to spend time with family, conjure images of kicking back and sitting on the back porch with people. And in my mind anyway, the Holy One seems to be asking the question, don't tell me how much money you made and where you went to school or who you knew. I want to know if I can draw close to you. I want to kick off my shoes, put aside my mask, open my heart, and just hang out on the back porch with you. What is it like, the Spirit asks, to be in the presence of your love? That's what I want to know. Makes me think of prayer a little bit, and I have to wonder if all of Jesus' talk about prayer was more than just periodically asking God for a favor. Maybe the emphasis on prayer was because prayer may be one of the purest forms of love. Prayer is often very private. People generally don't know we're doing it. We don't get acknowledged for it. I rarely see people getting certificates or awards or Starbucks points for praying. It isn't a transaction. It's not like putting change in a vending machine. We don't get something back in the obvious, immediate way. Prayer sends us into a place of deep humility and trust. It's a loving disposition of the heart. And in that sense, perhaps, about as pure a form of love as there is. We head into the quarterly meeting in just a few minutes. We'll look at our minutes, reread them, approve them. We'll look at the budget. We'll review the past 3 months. It's not scintillating. Our quarterly meeting will probably never compete with NASCAR. But woven into all the details and the occasional dryness is the free spirit, the free-flowing Spirit of God, the Spirit of love, which has been given to this church. And if we think a little bit for a moment about the movie It's a Wonderful Life, and we imagine this church suddenly disappearing from the hilltop, and all the love that flows in and out of it, then maybe we can get a sense, like Jimmy Stewart did, of just how blessed we are to be givers and receivers of love in this place. Love is fragile as a flower, and as powerful as Niagara Falls, flowing at the center of what we do and who we are. So, above all else, the message seems to be from Christ. Let us be known for our love.